students are viewed with more skepticism than before. The profession itself is suffering from rancor and guilt. I will come to you as to how economic theories promoted this crisis. Paul Krugman, the winner of the Nobel Prize for Economics in 2008, argued that much of the past 30 years of macroeconomics was spectacularly useless at best and positively harmful at worst. Barry Eichengreen, a prominent American economic historian, says that the crisis has cast into doubt much of what we thought we knew about economics. All of you know about Black-Scholes model. You must be studying it. It's being taught even now. Is being taught or not? This evolved from 1970 after the fixed exchange rate system broke up. You see, currency is supposed to be the denominator by which you decide the value of everything else. Then currency itself became a branded commodity, and one brand began competing with the other. And so they had to neutralize this by theoretical formulation, and that is how the Black-Scholes models developed from 1970. It entered the market in 1986-87, and the derivatives became a popular instrument. It developed in 1977-78. The derivative total turnover in 1977 was about $1 billion or so. But at the peak of the economic crisis in 2007, the derivative turnover in American, that is the Federal Reserve System recorded transaction alone, was $3.7 trillion a day. And the total derivatives outstanding at the peak of the crisis in 2007, as recorded by the Bank of International Settlements, was $596 trillion. The actual transactions represented by this was just $15 trillion. You can understand the explosion of money which did not represent any real wealth, any real work, any real wages, any real income. And entire thing was promoted on this Black-Scholes model. And the theory said, you can, to put it in an understandable language, that you can speculate without losing. This is a simple model. And this entered the market in 1994. And the two economists who promoted it, who theorized it, Robert Merton, he's one of the well-known macroeconomic thinkers, and Myron Scholes, they joined this long-term capital management, which experimented this model, and banks and financial institutions and corporates stood in queue to give the money to LTCM, which promised a minimum of 18% return. And it did give in 95, 96, 97. Seeing this, the Nobel Committee was so impressed. In 1997, they gave Nobel Prize to this model. In 98, the LTCM collapsed. And Robert Merton and Myron Scholes went back to some IIT for teaching. Poor fellows, they put the money in this, their Nobel laureates, as the money that they got, they put it and lost. But it is still being taught. So the economic crisis was because of economic ideas. New economic ideas have come. Changes have come. Are they sustainable? No idea is sustainable unless it is backed by the living models of the people. You cannot divorce an idea or a development or a policy or an economic theory which is divorced from the models of the people. That's what Japan does. Japan has aligned its rate of interest, aligned its market, aligned its bank, aligned everything to the way the people live. The people want to save and live a very frugal life. And the corporates work on a very thin profit margin. That is how we have to evolve our changes also. Our changes cannot come. It cannot be extrapolated. All the changes that we are trying to do in this country is by extrapolating ideas, extrapolating institutions, extrapolating expressions, extrapolating living models. It won't work. It requires some much more basic and fundamental understanding of human nature, for which we have to go through these 2000 years of history. It is available. You have not done it. Somebody else has done it. Study it. But we don't want to study anything good about India. If somebody says something wrong about India, in fact, this is the question which I have always asked. Mr. Ari Gadre spoke about entrepreneurship here. The global entrepreneur monitor study, India entered for the first time in 2002. In 2003, the entrepreneur monitor study came out with its findings, what India was. It says, GM study, in the age group of 18 to 64, India is 17.9% of the Indians are entrepreneurs. It is 11% in China, 10% in America. We don't know that in the year 2006, the government of India made a study of non-farming business enterprises in this country. Non-farming, unregistered business enterprises in this country. Mr. Adi Gadre spoke about SMEs. This is not that. That is still lower. What I am talking about. This NSSO made this study. And this first study was made in 2002. A more comprehensive and better sampled study was made in 2006. And they came to the conclusion there are 43.2 million non-farming enterprises employing 9.8 crore people, for which organized finance comes only to the extent of 1.5%. 92% of the Indians are entrepreneurs. Only 8% of the Indians are employed. But we don't recognize anybody as an entrepreneur unless he talks in English. My understanding of this country underwent a complete change through my empirical study, which I started in 1993 in Ludhiana. When I went to Ludhiana, I was stunned at the development. And nobody could speak in English. Because I always related development to English. And I thought, here is someone, they are importing 7.5 lakh workers from Bihar. It is like America importing workers from elsewhere. And no infrastructure, nothing. You heard of one Ramgadia community? I saw a sick man here, you must ask him. And that Ramgadia, when I asked them, how did this development take place? How did Ludhiana establish a technology of a very high order in cycle spare parts? They said, sir, here is there one community called Ramgadia community. You know, sir, if they see you, they can make you. You know, Ramgadia community has been banned in most of the factories in German. Because they produce the whole thing here. It is there. You go into website, you will find tons of material on this community. It opened my eyes. Then I went to Batala, then Rajkot, then Jamnagar, then Jalandhar. In Jalandhar I went to one of the factories, woodworkers factories, where the man said, sir, the entire Australian Cricket Control Board places his orders on me. 1994, 3 crore worth orders. They don't buy cricket bat from anybody. It is made in our factory. See that carpenter who is making the factory? See his Maruti car standing outside. And he makes, sometimes when his mood is good, he makes 50 willows a day and we pay him 150 rupees to a willow. My ideas completely changed. Which is the place in India which has the highest per capita income in India today, tell me? Not Bombay, not Delhi, not Chennai, not Bangalore. I exclude, not Calcutta. No. It is Morbi in Gujarat, where you see this Ajanta wall clock being made. as household enterprises. Children work on it. Elders work on it. Women work on it. It's largely done by the Muslim community there. In my introduction, you said that 25 industrial center community clusters I visited. We have visited 42. I have spent nearly 1/2 of my lifetime between 1994 and 2001 studying the real India, the enterprising India. You know, 70% of the oil tankers which are circulating all over the world, all over India, are owned by people in Namakkal. And they only graduated from being lorry drivers and cleaners into owning this. If Tatas or Ashok Leyland want to decide what is the demand for lorry chassis, they have to go to Namakkal for their market study. Do we know this? Have you studied Chari's book? This Boston Consulting Chari research worker study on Tirupur. Tirupur has achieved $2 billion knitwear export. 69% of the exporters have studied less than 8th standard. Only 7% are graduates. 300 exporting families. They have shaken the world. When Boston Consulting wanted to study where is this Tirupur, they didn't find the Tirupur any dot in India. When they Googled, they couldn't find. And then with great efforts they were able to locate. And they went to the PhD Institute of Financial Management where my friend was a professor. And they said, we want to go to Tirupur. Boston Consulting has asked us to take them to Tirupur. So we provided all the logistics, arranged for everything. And they produced this finest research.